So we have a bit of breaking news just coming out in the last 10 minutes or so regarding an update when it comes to Kylie Rae and her status with Impact Wrestling, and to be honest, her status with her professional wrestling career. Now, you have to bear with me. This is news that is literally, as I mentioned, breaking in the last sort of 10-15 minutes or so. So there's going to be a lot of information that comes out, and I'm sure there's going to be more reports about this over the next few hours, few days, and I'm sure lots of websites will be covering this. But of course, a lot of people have been talking about Kylie Rae after she missed Bound for Glory this past a couple of weekends ago. She was scheduled for the match against Deonna Purrazzo for the Impact Knockouts Championship. She didn't appear, and she, by all accounts, disappeared. People couldn't contact her. We'll go into the details of it, but Kylie Rae has posted an update on her Patreon service, I believe it is, and essentially she has mentioned that she is no longer a professional wrestler, and she's also deactivated all of her social media accounts. Now, I'll read the quote out to you that she has mentioned. She said, quote, "Good morning. I'm truly sorry for the pain I've caused and miscommunication. I am currently unwell. I'm also sorry that I wasn't able to get this out before your monthly subscription charge. I wanted to take this time and say I am no longer a professional wrestler and am currently taking a break from social media. It's been a very hard decision to make, but please understand, when I am well, I will try to fulfill any obligations that I have missed. During this time, most tiers will not be able to be fulfilled. Please feel free to unsubscribe from this membership/Patreon account. Thank you for your understanding," end quote. So it's very, very sad, isn't it? This whole situation when it comes to Kylie Rae, and the more that news comes out about it and the more we learn about the situation when it comes to Kylie Rae, it's very, very sad. And that statement by her is sad, and she has confirmed what has been sort of slightly reported. Obviously, she's not going to come out and exactly say what's wrong, but there's obviously some form of issue there. And she mentioned she's currently unwell, and she's taking a step back from not only social media, which is absolutely the right thing to do, but she's also taken a step back from professional wrestling. And it's incredibly sad, but I think the most important thing when it comes to this is that she recovers. She takes as much time as she needs, and if she ever does come back, she is healthier and better than ever. Now, I still hold out hope that eventually she will return to professional wrestling, but to be honest, all of that just pales in comparison at the moment. It's not important. What is important is that she comes back and she's healthier and she's happier than ever if she wants to come back. Now, as I mentioned, Kylie Rae missing the Bound for Glory pay-per-view event was a big headline, and it has been a big headline over the past few weeks. There have been multiple reports on what the situation is when it comes to Kylie Rae. Obviously, as I mentioned, she didn't appear at Bound for Glory, and Impact had promoted this right up until the match when it happened, and then Su Yung took her place and beat Deonna Purrazzo to become the Knockouts champion. And I think everyone needs to realize, and as I mentioned, this kind of transcends pro wrestling with this, because not everyone it's a very, very, very difficult subject to talk about, because I think, you know, if this is it for her and she is truly done as a professional wrestler, then all you can say is that you really wish her all the happiness and she finds whatever she is looking for. Because with any interview that I've ever seen with her, whenever any interaction I've had, it's always been very, very positive, and she is not only a tremendous talent, but what would appear to be a tremendous person. And if all of this is so much of a struggle that it is impacting your happiness and it is impacting your health, then you do have to question whether this is all worth it. And as was mentioned previously by the guys over there at Fightful, their Patreon service, Fightful Select, they mentioned that there is no bad feeling, there is no ill will, there is no heat when it comes to Kylie Rae from the side of Impact Wrestling. Obviously, the promotion did hope that she would return in the future, and I'm sure they still do. But I think, given the way that Impact have handled this, and they've handled this very, very well, I think, considering the circumstances, as was the case when it came to their upcoming tapings, they basically said to her that there was no pressure to come and work these November 17th through November 20th tapings. There was no pressure. And I'm sure they will be the same when it comes to her decision to no longer be a professional wrestler. I'm sure they'll say that, you know, again, as I mentioned, it's one thing being disappointed that you didn't see a match, and it's one thing saying, oh, I really wish I would have seen Kylie Rae versus Deonna Purrazzo, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. it really doesn't matter. What really matters is the health and happiness of Kylie Rae, and obviously there is an issue there. And you know, I just hope that she gets healthy and is happy. And you know, the positive, as I mentioned previously, was that she was physically fine, and the report said that she was physically fine. Obviously, there is a history when it comes to the mental health side of things, and from my experience, I think as someone that has been impacted by the mental health side of things and is an advocate for people talking about mental health and having the conversation and not having the stigma associated with it, I think that her stepping away from social media is an absolute positive. The world of social media can be disgusting, quite frankly, and it can be toxic, and it can be brutal, and you need to step away sometimes. And obviously the pressure of professional wrestling and the limelight at the moment isn't helping either. And again, I think that's the right call on her part, and I would be sure that Impact support her decision as a fan, and as fans of her and fans of professional wrestling. I think we should also support her decision. And again, the main thing is that she gets healthy and she is happy. And not everyone's happiness can be found in professional wrestling. Not everyone's happiness can be found in the spotlight or on social media. And I'm sure she loves professional wrestling. I'm sure that is what she loves to do. But you also have to factor in your health, and you also have to factor in your happiness. And Kylie Rae is still a very young person. So pro wrestling will always be there. The fans will always be there. And I think what we have to do as a fan base and as a community, we have to support her decision and support her the best that we can. And that's not by people saying, oh, you can't handle the limelight, or you shouldn't do this, this happened a couple of times, or this happened in AEW, now it's happened in Impact. You know, forget about that. Those people don't matter. What really we can do now is just support her decision and be supportive and receptive and open up that discussion about mental health and why it's so important, and be advocates for it and show support and smash the stigma associated with it. Again, I think if Kylie Rae couldn't perform at Bound for Glory because she'd broken her leg, everyone would say, oh, that's understandable. But because it's something you physically can't see, then people have an issue with that, and they shouldn't. And as I mentioned, I felt that, and I still do think that Impact have handled this situation very, very well. It's a difficult situation. It's a delicate situation. And it's obviously a private matter when it comes to Kylie Rae, and she's with her statement there, I think she's kept it private, some details of it private, and she absolutely should. She's just said that she's not well, and that's that. And I don't think it's fair to specifically say what is wrong, and I'm not going to criticize her at all. I think for the time being, she's probably ultimately made the right decision. If I was in her shoes, and I can't imagine what it's like to be in her shoes right now, I think stepping away is probably the right call. And you don't want to rush into anything too quickly. And I'm not going to criticize her decision. If anything, I think she's been very, very brave by going public and saying that she's not well, and taking the break and taking all the time that she needs. And as I mentioned, I think the more open discussion needs to take place in general, regardless of professional wrestling, just society, when it comes to professional wrestling, when it comes to mental health and mental illness. So I think videos like this are very important. I think the support that I hope Kylie Rae gets from fans and from communities is important. And I think you can't overstate the importance of happiness and feeling at peace and not having the pressure and doing what you think is right. And I think that's what she's done with that statement. And as I mentioned, yeah, it is sad, but I think in situations like this, you have to look at what are the positives here. And I think the positives here is that she is admitted that she's not very well, and I think a positive is also that she is taking active steps to get better. And regardless of how big or drastic they are, they're very, very, very important to do. And I think that the fact that Impact was very, very open with her, and there was no pressure, and they've been great, I think that helps a lot. And is this a full-blown retirement from Kylie Rae? You know, I don't know. If it is, then she's still had a great career. She's affected a lot of people, and she's done a lot of great things, whether it was in her brief time in AEW, whether it was with Impact Wrestling, and she did some spots with Warrior Wrestling as well. She's done fantastic. And if you are experiencing some mental health struggles or a period of mental illness, it shouldn't be held against you. Being mentally ill, whether it's acute or chronic for a short period or a long period, shouldn't be frowned upon. and it certainly shouldn't be viewed as being weak. I don't think anyone should feel like Kylie Rae's quit or anything like that, because she hasn't. She's done what is very, very important, and that's focused on herself and focused on her health and put herself and her health first, and not a lot of people do. So I think, if anything, she's been incredibly courageous here and incredibly strong by taking proactive decisions and putting herself first. So I think, again, it's a very sad situation, but I think the most important thing here is that she gets all the help that she needs. She finds happiness in whatever she decides to do next, whether it is coming back eventually or whether it is just, just leaving this professional wrestling craziness and finding something else to do or whatever. I think that's really important. And yes, the situation is confusing and it is very sad. And I think the sad thing is, it's always, forget the career, it's just horrible to hear that anyone is going through any issues when it comes to that. And I think that everyone should just, as I mentioned, be incredibly supportive. This isn't a time to criticize, it's a time to embrace. The world can be incredibly divisive, especially in these times, and especially when it comes to pandemics and lockdowns and isolation and quarantines. And the most important thing is to support. And maybe Kylie Rae has retired permanently, but the most important thing is that she finds happiness and she finds some peace and some health, and I think that's the most important thing there. So that's just what I wanted to make a quick sort of video on it. Again, it's not really one to analyze or anything like that. I think the most important thing is, as I mentioned, is that she's happy, and maybe we don't see Kylie Rae inside of a WWE professional wrestling ring again, or an Impact ring again, or wherever. But the most important thing is happiness, and hopefully she finds that through this decision. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.